guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Wednesday, guys. What is ahead to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned? I got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Wednesday, guys. Happy hump day. So I'm going to talk to you guys about 18 things that you may be experiencing or you will experience. So if you are, get excited, get excited, get excited. Especially to those of you who have not turned away from the journey, right? You are in due season, or due season is close. Get very excited. So let's start. Number one, you're being convicted to get back to that to-do list, that vision board, or anything that God had you to write down, jot down, create, etc., etc. But you may have just put it aside for whatever reason. Maybe you were just in your feelings about delays, etc., etc. But you're being convicted to get back to that vision board. Number two, you are being convicted to remove all distractions. It is literally so about you right now. Like typically my chosen people, right? My servers, we always put everybody else in front of us and we kind of get like the crumbs, but you'll realize that God is really convicting you to put yourself first. So move all the distractions of everybody pulling from you and you're being there for everyone else. This will literally be a selfish time for you. And we don't really do selfish, but selfish is not a bad thing when God is calling you into a selfish moment. You got to get things accomplished for you right now. No distractions. Number three, you are actually, listen, I meant to say this on yesterday. I said it before, but I'll say it again. This is number three. I'm going to try to stop counting because I always lose count within the middle of the list. But one of the biggest tricks from the enemy is to make you feel like you're not qualified. And God needs you to know, all caps, no, you're actually overqualified. So for whatever you're waiting on, whatever promise, whatever, you're actually overqualified for that thing. But the enemy will always target your confidence and your self-esteem and make you feel like you're not worthy. And again, from reading so many people emails about a lack of confidence or a lack of self-esteem, this is one of probably the top three areas that the enemy will really hit you at. Because if you don't feel like you're qualified for the promise, you're going to keep rejecting it. You're going to keep rejecting it. You are overqualified for that thing. And you got to know that. Again, if you haven't done this already, because I said it several times, if you really want to change the game, ask God. And I mean, you literally have to ask him. Ask God to help you see yourself the way he sees you. But you are overqualified. Number four, God has given you grace. Okay, so with feeling like you're not qualified, you will start to even question, okay, God, if you release it, can I even handle it? Right? Because I'm going to struggle in it. God is going to get, when that door opens, God is going to give you grace, right? And he's giving it to you now, but it's going to be more so less. When that door opens, you're going to realize the grace that comes upon you, that you can handle it, that you can do it correctly. So he's starting to really work with you on certain little things now, and there's grace to really show up and improve in certain areas. But he's really, really conditioning you to understand how he will literally give you grace to get certain things completed. You got to keep holding his hand. The minute you let God's hand go, you're going to flop bad. Number five, you are going through extensive pruning, right? And not only pruning, but also constant convictions. And through this, what God is doing is God is really healing you, and he's prepping you and training you for the promise. So right now, all these things that are being pruned, God is really testing you to see, are you going to be willing to let him remove the things that needs to be removed before he opens the door? Number 6. I think I'm on number 6. He's sending you, like your dreamers, you're getting more, your dreams are more, certain times when you dream, you have to like ask the Holy Spirit to really kind of like reveal certain things to you. These dreams are very clear, and they're also indicative of the promise. Like things are aligning now. So when you're getting certain dreams, do not reject them. Almost like, let's just say, let me think of an example really quickly. All right, let's just say that God says you're going to have a business. You're going to open up a barbershop, right? And you're still feeling underqualified because, I don't know, nobody in your family graduated from 7th grade, but you're chosen. So God is having you to really go against the grain and do things the right way. But it's still that thing playing in your mind, which is the enemy, that no one have ever done it. Oh, even if God gives you the barbershop, you don't understand the red tape. It's not going to work out, all the stuff like that, right? So you already feel like you're not even qualified for it. So now when God brings you a dream to confirm. So here you are sleeping, snoring, honey, mouth wide open, whatever you got going on. And then God brings this dream, this clear as day, that, let's say in the dream, in the dream, they're literally handing you the certificate that you completed the course, and that, boom, here's the barbershop. And as soon as you wake up, the dream was clear. The dream was clear. But as soon as you wake up, here's the enemy playing in your head. Oh, that was not a dream for that. That was a familiar spirit. And here you're really thinking like, I don't even know if that was really you. You can't do that. You cannot do that. You literally have to be in alignment with God. So when you wake up, it's like, oh, confirmation. Thank you, Lord. I receive it. I receive it. I don't care what you feel like inside. Even if you feel like, Lord, I don't know if I can do it. Don't say it. Do not say it. When you say it, you're coming into an alignment with the enemy. So you have to wake up with confidence like, oh, thank you, Lord. Yes, you done give me 37 confirmations about it anyway. Here's the 38th. Lord, I got it clear as day. I am a barbershop owner, period. You got to stay in alignment with what God has promised you. Number 7. You are experiencing rapid movement and acceleration in the spiritual realm. You can feel like your spirit is very ignited, and it's like there's this giddiness in the spiritual realm. And of course, some of that can definitely overflow into the physical realm, because now God needs you to start doing more things. For example, getting back to the to-do list, like where before you can kind of just knock one thing off or two things off, and you let that stuff linger because maybe you're a procrastinator, or you didn't feel like God was moving fast enough for you. So not only are you feeling the acceleration in the spiritual realm, it's also starting to overflow into the physical. So now God is like, no, you're going to knock 20 things off on that list today, because you're behind anyway, right? You're behind. So you will start to see acceleration and movement going on. I don't even know. See, this is why I think this is number 8. New ideas, witty inventions. This is going to give you extra income for the next season. Also, it's also a transition going on for some of you, because God is pulling you from your jobs, your current jobs and your current careers, but it's an ease with it, versus some people just take that leap. I think Steve Harvey said he did. He jumped. He even said he wouldn't even recommend it. But some of you guys God is giving witty ideas and inventions, like little creative stuff that he either have you working on now, or he's going to start convicting you to do so. Whatever you do, if God is convicting you to start working on something, or he give you like a little idea, I don't know, you might be a person who crochets, let's just say, right? But you do it as a hobby. It's just something you do for fun. But God is going to start giving you strategy on how to make money from that thing, and just stop giving it off to your ungrateful family, right? You give them crochet sweaters every Christmas, and they're looking at you side eye like, this all you got, right? But you took 100 hours, honey, to crochet that sweater, and they're just ungrateful, right? So God is going to start giving you different ideas on how to make money from your hobbies, your talents, etc. Because if you think about it, whatever that thing is, you love it. It fulfills you. It's something that you do to maybe ease your mind, right? It makes you feel all comfortable when you're sitting there crocheting things, and right. So now God is going to start to really give you ideas on how to make money, because that's going to transfer over along with either your current job, current career, if it doesn't end in its entirety before the door opens. Do not ignore those little small witty ideas and invention. I'm telling you, y'all don't understand. Y'all do understand. People don't understand the importance of obedience. I'm telling you, God will give you a download to do something and nobody else will be doing that thing. It wouldn't even look like it's like something that people would even be intrigued by. But if you're obedient to do what God is telling you, before you know it, a few years down the line, that thing takes off and you have other people who are trying to catch up, but you're already solid on that ground. So please, please, please be obedient even when it doesn't make sense. Number 9, he's increasing the fruits of the spirit. Your people who once didn't have a whole lot of patience, right? You're starting to feel there's a grace, and don't get it twisted. It's still not like a super easy for you, but there's a grace. Something's going to happen where it's just one too many times where you're tired of getting frustrated about a situation that requires you to have patience. Now I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to say, I think like 2 days ago, I was in the line. The line was so freaking long, and I was sitting there like probably mumbling in my head, right? And then there were 2 people who came behind me, and they only had like small things. And I was like, you guys go right on ahead. And they're like, are you sure? Yes, please, go right on ahead, right? And as I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, you know what? Oh my God, I'm so proud of myself, right? So there's a grace that God is really working on with you with the fruits of the Spirit. That's gentleness, whatever else you guys get in where you fit in and plug it in, right? Because you're going to need it. You're really going to need it for where you're going next season. And when I say next season can be tomorrow. Like seriously, right? Next thing. Oh, honey, listen. Listen, you listening? Them counterfeits, those counterfeits is popping out left to right. This can look like people, places, or things. Again, it's really all about what God has promised you. Whatever God has promised you, your counterfeits are going to be in parallel to the promise, right? So these counterfeits, one will also come from the enemy, because the enemy will really try to get you off course and make you think like, okay, well, you keep waiting on God all you want. This particular business deal is going to pass you by. This is going to pass you by. This is going to pass you by. And so he knows that you're weary and you're tired of waiting. So he will bring counterfeits to you to make you accept it and like try to, I guess, rig it together to make it look like what God says, and you miss your whole destiny. But God will also allow counterfeits to test you. God will also allow counterfeits so he can test you. So let's just say he gave you a clear revelation about something, someone, or someplace, and it was clear as day, but it was 2.5, 3 years ago. And now you're at a point where due season is literally right here, right? So now God wants to see, how is your patience now? Because before you would just jump to whatever because you ain't got time to wait. And I ain't got time for that, right? So he want to see, do you really trust me? He want to see how solid you are in this journey. Because if you're easily persuaded by a counterfeit just because it looks similar, but you know it's not what God said, it just looks similar, it even feels similar. But this is why you got to dig in, because if you're confused, some people know exactly what their promises are. Some are still, you know what it is, but you don't know who it is or what it is. You just know God has given you a promise. Well, those of you who know, then it's easier, because when the counterfeit presents itself, you already know that's not what God says, even though it looks good, right? But you know it's not what God said. Well, to those of you who don't know and you're still waiting on insight, when these counterfeits present itself, you're going to really, really, seriously, really have to press it. You're going to want to have to fast, not want to, but you're going to be required probably to fast, get in a posture where you can really, really, really hear from God, because those counterfeits are very, very, very close. But it's not what God said. It looks good, but it's not in your spirit. Number 12, I think. You're being convicted to work out more and get in shape. And this is typically not so much about losing weight, if you will. I'm sure maybe for some, but it's really more about getting your energy level up, as well as getting insight, and more clarity. So where before the goal, you might have to go to, I don't know, lose 20 pounds, let's just say, or whatever. And fine, that's still cool, right? If that's your thing. But it's really also more about getting away from the distractions of this crazy busy world, getting in a place of solitude, right? Walking on a nature trail, working out, whatever you got going on. But it's really about giving you clarity. You will be surprised the clarity and the insights and the revelation you receive when you're walking, when you're working out, when you're in nature, and there's nothing distracting you. All you hear is the birds, honey, and you will be surprised. Speaking of birds, you guys hear that? You will be surprised the insights you receive when you turn down all your distractions. Next one, you are being you're being convicted to organize and make room. I'm laughing about that recording I had about make room and oh yeah, okay. So you're being convicted to organize and make room, whatever that looks like for you. All right, just make room. Things that no longer serve you needs to go. If that's people, places, or things, the things that no longer serve you. If it's your house, go through your house. Whatever. Never mind. God will tell you what to do to make room. Number 14, I think. I said this earlier, but he's revealing more insight to you about the promise. Meaning, at the beginning, let's just say it was 2 years for you, right? It was 2 years for you, honey. Listen, consider yourself blessed, because some people in this thing 20 years, right? But when he gave you the revelation, you yourself, your flesh, concocted this story of how what you think it is. Like, you think it's going to work out this way. You think it's going to be this easy as pie. You think this, you think that. Where now the promise is still the same, but you have more insight. And it's not exactly what you thought. It is, but it's not. It's way more in detail. It's way more involved. It's maybe not even like the fairy tale thing that you thought it really once was, but instead it's really work. It's a blessing, but you have more to do there than what you initially thought. So he's giving you more insights and showing you that nobody in this world is perfect. So whatever little perfect fairy tale you got in your head about this, that, and the other. So he's really working on you and teaching you, like, please understand that nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. So let me give you some insight, so when you get there, you won't be sitting there trying to walk away from things and people so quickly because they're not perfect. No, they're flawed. You're flawed. It's flawed. You're going to have warfare. You're going to have this. So it's more detailed insight. Number... I think 50. Yeah, I think 50. I think I'm doing good with the numbers, actually. You are being convicted to be more submitted. Remember, everything that God is teaching you, you're okay. So you're being convicted, but he's using people, right? Like we spoke about, some of you guys are still popping off at your boss, right? But he's using people that he's trying to help you to submit to certain things, but you have to be willing to be submitted. If you're still fighting against it. So let's just say you go to work, right? You go to work and you already know you don't like your boss or whatever, and you already know like every day it's some kind of like little spat, some little back and forth, right? Could be all her fault, his fault, who knows, whatever. But God, that's not the issue. The issue is God is trying to prune you and shape you for the promise. So he has to use a person. So when you get to work, you're sitting in your car and you're just like, Lord, if she say one more thing to me today, and boom, conviction, you can close your mouth. I don't care what she says to you, you can close your mouth, right? So being submitted is like, all right, God, please just give me grace to do it. I'm going to try my best, Lord. I promise you. Please give me grace to do it, please. And if I fail this test, which I don't want to claim it, right, because I'm going to try my best. But if I fail this test, please just give me grace to try again tomorrow. I'm going to keep trying this thing. I don't care if I have to try it 40 times in a week. I'm going to pass this test. That's being submitted to it. And then God gives you grace. And even when you fail, there's no like condemnation behind it because you're trying. God just needs us to try. But if you're not being submitted, when you're sitting in that car and God is saying, no, when you go in there, close your mind. You're like, I'm not, no. You need to talk to her because I'm not the problem. She's over here, coming over here and fussing about my coffee on the desk and that ain't me. Go holler at her because I ain't got time. You're not even submitted to what God is doing. You're not. So you can't submit to God. How are you going to submit to the promise? So God is really testing you. But our flesh wants to focus on the people. And trust me, I get it, right? I get it. Our flesh wants to focus on the people, but it's a bigger purpose. Don't allow a person to block your whole destiny because your pride is more about not letting them try you all kind of way, right? Go ahead and make it the due season. And then you can go back and check them. No. Number 16, I think. No, I don't even know. I thought I was doing good. Maybe I am on 16. I don't even know. Removing bondages. You realize that God is removing bondages. And again, it's not that it's easy so much, but there's a grace that's really helping you to release that bondage more than ever, because that bondage is not, and it cannot go into due season. So you'll realize, let's just say it's your porn, because you know y'all like porn for some reason. Porn is that bondage thing that keeps between porn and meth. Y'all be laughing at my porn and meth, but it keeps coming up. So I don't know who got the meth problem. I don't know who got the porn problem. No judgment. We all have our problems and our issues. No judgment, but you will you will realize that God is really starting to convict you heavily about your bondages, where before you can kind of get over and just make it seem like, well, everybody in the family do it, or, well, you know, I'll get to it, or try to get to rehab just whenever. But now he's making it very, very, very clear to you. But it's a gentle clearness, right? It's not even like a condemnation. It's a conviction like, hey, it's time. Hey, I'm ready to open the door, but this can't go. So I need you to fast against cigarettes for 3 days. I'm going to help you to break this addiction, but you got to follow my directions, because everybody have different directions, right? What's the thing? Rehab don't work for everybody. Do you know the turnover rate for rehab, right? Where it works for some, but then some, if you really dig in, God might give you a whole routine just at home you can do. Right? He might introduce you to, I don't know, I'm throwing some things out here. CMOS. He might start saying, take CMOS, take this, start working out, right? He'll give you a strategy. Matter of fact, ask God to give you a strategy for your addiction. Whatever your addiction is, food, sweets, cigarettes, meth, porn, crack, whatever you got going on, right? Ask God to give you strategy for it. When you ask God, get in a posture to receive. It doesn't mean he's going to answer you the same minute, right? But just get in a posture to receive, because there's a grace that's going around like never before, because that meth can't go, honey. Let me just tell you. Next thing. You guys hear that thunder? Not my phone. It's thunder, honey. You guys know I'm crazy about rain. Okay. Speaking of that, I have my rain system on behind me on the TV, and it's actually raining outside. Um, I lost my train of thought here. This rain got me all of my feelings on it. Okay. Oh, slowing down. You realize that God is convicting you to slow down. Like he's slowing you up from all that toil. Like you might have been a person who voluntarily works on weekends just because, right? You don't even need the money, right? But you're constantly going in your mind. You got to work, because you got to get this money together for blase 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 blase. Like you're constantly toil. You're constantly on the go. You're never home. You're just everywhere. You're in everybody else's business except yours, right? So he's slowing down your constant toil and that constant movement, for whatever reason. Maybe that could be because that's how you're going to hear from him, or because where you're going, you're not going to be toiling over there. So he's trying to condition you now where you're not so busy. This is definitely my stuff too, right? Where you're not so busy, toiling, because where you're going now is more about quality versus quantity. The last one, I think. Nope. Forgiveness. He's really working on your forgiveness, and I felt somebody just twitch just now, right? That's not my strong point either, but he really worked with me with that. Forgiveness is a process, right? Some of you guys can forgive very easily. Everybody's just different. I think with very loyal people, I think we have a hard time forgiving more, because it's just, I don't know, it's just because we're so loyal, we can't understand when other people aren't. We know we would never do this, so how could you do this? So it's really hard for some people to forgive. But what you will learn is that forgiveness, and it sounds like a cliche because people always say it, forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. It is the absolute truth. It's really not a cliche. It's true. Because when you're holding on to all that hurt, that anger, that resentment, that whatever you got going on, you're really blocking your own blessings, because God can't give you certain blessings when you have all that toxic stuff within you, because you're going to bleed on the blessing. So it's like God is trying to really get you to forgive that parent who was not there. He's not saying that parent have to be in your life again. It just might be one conversation to get your point across, so that stuff can be released from you. It needs to be released from you. You can't hold all that stuff in, right? It could be just writing. He'll give you your strategic way. He may just have you to write a letter to that parent, or he may just have you write a letter in general to yourself. Write a letter, call out the names, what the offense was, that you forgive them, tear it up, whatever, right? He might say when when your child has that next PTA meeting, her daddy gonna be there. You can't be side-eyeing this man because something he did 3 years ago, right? Y'all know. Now he walk in the room, right? You got there first. You waiting on your baby to come off the recital stage. Honey, he walking there. And honey, you done start side-eyeing this man, and that thing is just rising up in your spirit, and you're, he got the, Was you thinking about that? Was you thinking about her when you was out here? If a person still changes your spirit, or just like there's like this, not even conviction, but like a condemnation. I can never say that word. But if there's like this thing in your spirit, and you know what that thing is, honey, you still haven't really forgiven that person yet. Again, forgiveness is a process, but God will give you grace, and you will start to realize more and more. Let's just say you're now on the 4th time of having to be in the room with him for whatever reason. You'll realize now, like, you know what? I don't want to clock him in the head as much as I want to. Then the next time he smiles at you, and you're just like, don't smile at him. I know you ain't smiling at me, because boy, ain't nothing happening, right? And then the next time you might smile back, and then and so on and so on and so on and so on. And before you know it, God will really start to give you grace to help you to understand, if this nut butt didn't cheat on you, right? You already know you chose this man. I never had this man designed for you. That's why it wouldn't work out, right? But if he didn't hurt you, you would still be stuck there. So I need you to learn to receive it as it had to happen in order for God to give me the man who was always designed for me, right? So when you start to change your perspective about the hurt, again, it's a process, then it's easier to forgive people. Because if they never hurt you, you would still be there. You would still be stuck in bondage. So it had to happen. God will deal with the people, right? So God's going to start really working and giving you grace with forgiveness to free yourself, because that's needed before the promise is released. Lastly, boundaries, 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 and make zero excuse about it, because it's like when you first start putting up boundaries and really trying to get solid with boundaries, if you're not careful, you'll start feeling guilty about the boundary, right? The people will start making you feel guilty about the boundary. But you'll realize that God is also giving you grace to put these boundaries in place. And now there's this thing where it's like, it is what it is. If you're offended, that's not your problem. But I got to look out for me, because half of the reason why we had to put boundary up anyways, because people failed us. So I'm sorry. I got to look out for me. I got to look out for my peace of mind. Some of y'all done been on this journey for 72 years. Listen, you know what you went through for them 72 years on this journey. It was only you and God. So don't let people block you from all the work that you put in. You guys have a great one. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.